This nigga. I'm about to start, man. So you're singing such things.
Well, you were making yourself comfortable. So I mean, I'm singing a lullaby.
At the time, baby.
I'm singing a lullaby to make you comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
no,
welcome guys back to our next topic on the Brief Philosophy podcast. The name of the topic today is called code switching. So when you think of code switching, you break down the word as code, which means language, and switching, which means going back and forth or changing. So in all, code switching is switching back between two or more languages. But I would also go on to say code switching is also more about, changing the way you look in a way to fit in a certain environment, even changing your dress code, changing your hairstyle as well.
Okay.
So that's what, in a nutshell, in totality, is code switching. So, Cass, what do you think about this definition, and why do you think people code switch?
Okay. I don't know. I think maybe you guys can help me out by maybe giving me an example of like when somebody would code switch.
Okay, I can mention 3 places where people code switch that I can think of right now. They can code switch to get a job.
Okay.
In the job interview, you have to dress in a certain way.
Okay.
Your hair must be in a certain way. You can't just go in a job interview looking like this. So they have to, and you have to speak in a certain way, using standard English, for example.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Niggas in the hood are the best.
And also, if you go,
have to learn to speak in ways that's unnatural.
Yeah. Who's that
Just to make it to the interviews on the TV, whatever. J. Cole has
Cole.
line like that.
yeah,
Nigga Cole.
just to make it to a job interview.
My
somehow.
niggas
I
had to
see.
speak like this. They would ask, nigga, what the fuck got an interview?
All right. So
But
now,
try to make it some way.
Hey man,
Okay.
trying to make it sound.
So basically, it's like that, man. You have to code switch in order to fit into certain environment that you wouldn't be able to go into.
okay. So I guess maybe we, in the sense that we're now trying to find out whether or not we excuse it or we understand it as a thing that would happen and should happen.
Yeah.
In order for
I think
to
that's
gain
what
some
we're
sort
trying
of
to get.
advantage.
I don't know, man. I feel like if there wasn't a place for code switching, it wouldn't exist, man. In a way, right?
Okay.
Because if you think about it, if you were to speak the way you speak to me now at your workplace, there will be no differentiation between your workplace and here. I don't think you'd be as productive as well. Because now the way you would conduct yourself is just like, I'm just with the homies, man. And I think that's why people normally address their bosses in different ways. I'm not sure if you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
It's
So-
just a way of maintaining order, I think. But of course, there's obviously a downside to code switching, the same way there is a downside to everything else. I would say code switching is there to maintain some type of order, to differentiate your relationships with different people and different environments as well. If you're in the hood, you're more likely to just behave a specific way.
Let's see.
As soon as you move outside of that environment to an environment that's a bit different, you now need to learn the energy of that place, the vibe of that place, and be like that. That's why if you're at a party and you're now crying about your chick that cheated on you now, niggas will shun you now, because that's not the place for that stuff now.
Yeah, of course.
Now you need to forget all about that now and try to fit the vibe of that place now. So I think like code switching is sort of a way to help you adapt to a specific environment, so that you don't stick out.
So from what you are saying, that it's for survival in a way.
I think so.
I would like to think so.
Because the environment kind of controls your behavior.
Yeah.
So if you're in a certain environment, you're gonna move in a certain way.
Yeah, it's a type of survival tactic, I think.
Yeah, and I also think like it reflects how bad a society that we have, because there's things like discrimination and everything. So like look at it this way: if like let's say you're gonna maybe you've graduated to some sort of school or whatever, and they speak a certain way, and you standing out might give these people power to discriminate against you.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
then they now have these crazy assumptions about what you might know, your
Definitely.
intelligence and stuff like that, because of the way that you sound.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
it plays a big factor here in SA, man, where obviously the economy is ruled by the white man.
No, yeah.
Right, so when you go to a job interview and you can't speak good English, hey, that's already
You'll
a
be
strike.
shot on.
Yeah,
That's already a
exactly,
strike
yeah.
one against you now. So the way you articulate yourself now, even your energy, man. If you have this hood, you know how people say you are ratchet or you're like a hood type of nigga. So now you need to put that stuff all in a box somewhere when you go for the interview now and try to be as white as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, good evening, sir. Oh, good morning, sir.
So
You know,
can we classify it as like depending on the setting as professional behavior?
I don't think it's
In some
professional
sense.
behavior because I mean, let's say if you now are a suburban kid
Mm.
and you have a friend that stays in the township, like for example me. Now
Mhm.
you go to the hood and you're all suburban like.
Mm.
You won't stand out. Now you have to adjust to that neighborhood as well. So it's not a professional. It's just reading the
Okay.
energy, man. It's like reading people or reading a crowd and learning how to assimilate yourself in that crowd so that you don't stick out. I think so because you do know what happens, right? The people who stick out are the ones who get bullied in high school or primary
Exactly.
school.
So I think maybe I said what I say because I was thinking about that whole office thing. Like, you know, you kind of have like office etiquette. And
Yeah.
like, even when you write an email to your boss, it's not the same as
As when you arrive at your home.
when you're texting to your homie or to your girl per se.
That's for
So I
sure.
guess like I think depending on what the task is at hand, you might code switch as some sort of professional behavior. But like I guess like maybe depending on who you're hanging with, sometimes you might want to switch because then that makes you stick out, like what you guys are saying. You know? It's like when you go to the Somali shop sometimes to the spaza, you find yourself speaking a certain way. They're like, hey, I do not speak like this, but what am I doing? Am I trying to accommodate this person?
Yes, it's to accommodate. Basically, I think so. I think that's kind of it.
And
just
that could
to be
also be
accommodating.
seen as offensive in a way because it's like now you're making these crazy assumptions about how you need to now tone down your accents and whatever just so
You
the
can, you
message
can
You
is
be
see
getting
now,
appealing
out,
to
yeah.
the
you see
person.
now, and that's why I don't like speaking to a lot of people who don't speak my language, man. Especially white people. I don't like that thing. Hi, booty. How are
Yeah,
you,
well-
booty?
to
Man,
appeal
like
to
why
you.
you now
I
calling
see.
me booty?
Yeah.
Or trying to use class words now to sort of make me feel like okay now
Yeah,
you're one of my
welcome, yeah.
people. You know,
Oh, I
it's
see.
quite clear you're not one of my people, man. Just be who you are,
Mm.
and then I'll meet you halfway. That's it. Now this thing of booty. Alright, when
No, but if you
But
if you also think about it, I think it's like there have been times where it's felt great. Like not necessarily white people saying something, but let's say like if I find out that you've learned some Shona word and then you say it to me, like it just has this effect where I kind of like, you know, sometimes it might be heartwarming.
yeah.
Yeah, but you see, I think everything, man, is about how efficient and how well you do something, right? So, for example, now, if your name, let's say, is Farai, right? And I mispronounce your name. Yes, I am trying to learn your language, but I'm mispronouncing your name and I'm saying it in the most awful way now. It's not exactly
Yeah,
flattering.
butchering.
No, yeah, of course. Yeah,
You're
no,
butchering
that's
the
yeah,
language.
exactly. Yeah,
You see,
yeah.
and that's
You might
exact-
as well not.
Might as well
in
just
that,
leave
in
it
that
now
way. Yeah.
until you feel like you're comfortable with saying the word. Because now if you're saying it to me in the wrong way, it's almost like with us African names, right? My name is obviously Ritsepil or Ritsepil. That's the way it's pronounced.
Okay.
But then I meet other people like at WhatsApp and be like, oh, Ritsepil. It takes away the whole
The whole
context.
meaning. Yeah.
Because like you can have exactly two words written the same way, but the way they are pronounced gives them their definition.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
of course. Yeah.
Now someone just takes the way the word is written and they are just saying it because they feel like they want to flatter you.
But is
now
that not
they're
like
taking away the
is
whole
that not like harsh punishment though? Because it's like something like with the name. I don't speak your language, no? And now it's kind of, what can I say, a little crazy now for you to expect me to say it the right way.
Look, this is the thing. I don't expect you to say it the right way. You will be excused knowing that it's not your language, man. You understand what I'm saying? But I feel like this thing needs to go both ways. For example, if a black person speaks English in a way that feels like it's not what is expected, right? People are more harsher to black people
Yeah.
because people can't speak English. It's almost like they are dumb
They'll be
because they
frowned
can't
upon.
speak English well, right? Whereas if a white person were to speak Xhosa and they are fumbling their way through it, they are impressed now.
Yeah, it will be applauded.
At least they're trying. I think it also has to do with the power, man, the stance in which you're coming from. I'm not sure if you get what I'm saying now.
No, I'm getting it, but now like when it comes to a name, no? This is not like a language. This is how we address you. We have no choice but to now call you by your name. But it's just that like you say, when a Xhosa speaking person, you see, I've even botched the what do you call it? The name of
Xhosa.
your language.
Yeah.
But anyway, like it's like, which is why I don't say it a lot though, because I'm still struggling with clicks, and because you homies don't even speak to me and that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like it's gonna take me a while to learn. You know? But all I'm saying is that this is your name now, bro. And then maybe you just happen to be on some roll call or register, and your name is being said out loud by some person that does not speak Paddy or Sutu.
Look, don't get me wrong, man. It's not like I'm mad at that thing. Like, for example, when we go for graduations, right?
Okay.
You always have colored people there who are calling out black people's names. And they
Okay.
butcher
And sometimes, yeah,
completely.
for sure.
Even when I first graduated, the way they called my name was like, what the hell is this? Like, that's not my name, man.
Okay.
But I was like, hey, man, I understand this cat is not, it's not like he's doing it purposefully to butcher my name. He's trying the sort of, I don't know how can I put this thing. He's trying not to. It's almost like back in the days when the white master would be like, I don't know how to pronounce your name, and I'm changing it. I'm giving you a white person's name.
Okay.
That's how they used to be, right? They were like, I don't even want to try. So the mere
Okay.
fact that someone is at least trying, I am happy at the fact that you're trying.
Okay.
But I'm saying, obviously, man, it's like as I said, there's ups and downs and there's advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, you'll be offended at the fact that, nah, man, the person just butchered my name. But at the same time, you're like, oh, at least he's trying.
He's trying.
You know, moving on. I think it depends on why the person is doing what they're doing. Man. You'd be offended if you know that this guy is simply just doing this on purpose because he doesn't even care about pronouncing my name. He's just doing it.
Okay.
You know, there are people who do that purposely. They know your name and they know how to pronounce your name, but they still pronounce it in a bad way just to spite you. I'm not sure if you've ever seen people when people do that, especially if someone is mad at you.
So from what I'm picking, that code switching has to do with, you know, survival and fitting in. Do you think when you try to fit in, doesn't that make you phony in a way?
It does, man. I think that's why in hip hop people get mad at white people, especially when white people start using black people slang, start using the my nigga words and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why like rappers always say white people are trying to be black. You remember when J. Cole said that?
Yeah, I remember that
so-
song, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was saying everything has to do with how well do you do it, man. And that's why I said that earlier. Because for example, Eminem is part of the black culture now in hip hop, right? But he doesn't try so hard to be saying my nigga. He's simply just himself. I don't think Eminem even tries to sound cool, man.
So when you overcompensate, it kind of doesn't seem like, yeah.
I think
No,
stealing
I understand
things-
you, Cats.
Yeah.
And I think I looked at one of those videos about code switching, and she made it seem like, I've forgotten the name, but I mean it was like a TED Talk thing, and she made it seem like it threatens diversity, in the sense that obviously now we don't have your originality on the table because you've had to code switch just so you can match what's happening, no? And that is true, and I think that's the message that you guys are talking about, because now you're phony, but at the same time, we can't celebrate your character now or your mannerisms at work or wherever it is because now you've had to code switch.
Yeah, but you see, as much as I understand that, my nigga, but you remember what you said yesterday, though.
What did I say?
You said there are some people who simply just don't have a personality, man, that's desirable. And those people feel like, man, if I'm going to be myself around these people, chances are
They're
I
gonna
won't
bully
be
me.
accepted.
Exactly. So
You
that's
know,
where I
so
was
let me
gonna
just-
go. That's where I was gonna go because you cats like brought up this whole thing about like you might be phony when you code switch. So then I was just saying that that is true because then we get to a point where we have similar characters on the table because code switching for a role, you know, so you're playing a role basically, you know, exactly. So it's like, so you might be phony in that sense, and also in the fullest extent, we don't get to celebrate you. And then that's where you come in and now say like, okay, sometimes we can't celebrate that because it does not fit. And then like with the person that you say with a personality that is just unbecoming.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, so you might feel a need or a sense to code switch because of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Some people, my man, I think code switch more for power. It's almost like with the archetypes of Young. I'm sure you know Young, right? Since you're a Jordan Peterson fan.
No,
So he has those three archetypes, right? What is it? There's about identity. You know, there's the
course, yeah.
persona. So the persona is the person that you pretend to be so that you can interact with the world.
Okay.
That's the person you feel like the world wants to see, man. You know, I'm not sure how to explain.
Let's see.
It's almost like, you know, the To Pimp a Butterfly poem that Kendrick Lamar says.
Mm.
You know, people try to be the butterfly, not the caterpillar.
Okay.
So you try to show the most perfect version of yourself in public. And that in a way is almost like code switching because you're sort of playing it safe, man, in a way. Okay, this is the person I think most people are more likely to like. You see? Because
or the person that you desire for yourself as well. Like it might not necessarily just be because you want people to like you. There are people who are purposely rebels, but they want that message to what do you call it? That's what they're trying to sell.
Yes,
as a
it's
person.
a narrative they're trying to push
Exactly. So we are kind of walking narratives at the end of the day.
forward. Exactly.
If you aspire to be a boss and you carry yourself out that way, and it's a narrative that you're pushing. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, now it will come to a time where you get tested now, and then now show us those boss qualities. Then you know, now you get some perspective now, like, hey, I'm not yet a boss, yeah.
Yes. That's what happened to Plies. Because he came up saying that he was a gangster rapper.
Oh yeah.
Then the nigga was pressured, niggas pressed him, they show us, my nigga. Show us this thug.
I think it was
Okay.
Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx was saying a story there, like saying something about how I think they were supposed to shoot a video, And then Pliers, at the time, I think he kind of put himself as a poster child for gangsterism in the hip hop industry. You know what I'm saying? And then I think some niggas came there to the set trying to jump him, and he was like kind of like hiding behind Jamie Foxx and hiding and everything. Like, that's what my dude. Like, you just say like you're gonna bust a gun now. Like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, but that's the thing, man. I feel like Pliers obviously knew that for me to make it as a rapper, maybe at the time gangster rap was the thing that was like bling bling. You know how in the bling bling era, you had to be a thug and a gangster, man. And he came up at the time.
Yeah,
So I think he felt like, hey, man, I need to push this narrative, man, that I'm a thug or else I'll be rejected in hip hop.
And,
at the time
and it was an environment on
It's
that
the environment,
time.
yeah.
Exactly.
So you have to
And we also have a very perfect example with 6ix9ine.
Exactly.
That dude had some gang affiliations, and then when it was crunch time, he snitched on everybody just so he can go out.
Yeah. But the funny thing is with him, he managed to turn that thing around, then made money out of it. He's now a
of
troll
course.
now.
Yeah,
People
of
don't
course,
take him seriously anymore, and that's his new persona now.
Yeah.
He's like the cat who doesn't want you to take him seriously. The Gooba songs, the sharks with the grills, colorful, flamboyancy.
I like the shark on there.
I like the shark, man. Yeah, the shark is cute.
But man, if you, I'm just thinking about it now. If you speak of fitting in, I think sometimes it's a good thing as long as you don't, overcompensate or demoralize your values and your morals and all that stuff. I still think it's fine that way. I think the moment you trample upon your values and your principles, then it's something else.
Yeah, just
I
so you
think
can fit in,
code-switching
and then it
code
becomes
switching
toxic in that way,
yeah.
because that's how people build resentment. Like, you've been, like, what can I say? Holding yourself, what can I say? Like, restraining yourself from being your fullest extent, hoping for favor. Like you were saying, like when you code switch, you're kind of wanting favor from people. So now you're code switching, and you morph into this kind, subtle person, or maybe one that doesn't talk a lot, and then you're doing that so you can gain favor from people, and that does not happen at the end of the day. You might now get resentful now and say, but I did this just so I can fit in, and and now I didn't get the price.
It wasn't appreciated.
Yeah.
So that does happen, man. But I think it's just a risk, man. The thing is, it's like this thing, man. I think it goes hand in hand with the whole ego death type of thing, man. Like as you live, you go through that cycle of ego death and rebirth, which shapes who you are. That's your personality. Your personality will always be the same. It will just be evolving according to the mistakes you make. It's almost like when they say the greatest fool is the person that doesn't want to become a fool.
Okay.
So you need to somehow, I feel like it's important for you to throw yourself in the deep end, man, and code switch, make those mistakes. And then when you realize that, okay, this was the wrong way of doing it, you break the house down and build from scratch now.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But in a way, by doing that, you're building a stronger foundation each time you keep destroying the house. Your foundation is becoming stronger now because your experiences are helping you to shape yourself to become the person that you're supposed to be. Eventually.
I see.
But I think you're more likely to code switch a lot if you're in a wrong group to begin with, man. Because then in that group you will not feel like you're being accepted, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So now you have to code switch even more now, which is almost aligned with the previous episode now of simping. I always feel like it's some type of simping in a way to belong into a specific group. Because you feel like I'm not wanted here. Maybe if I act like I'm part of the group now.
Yeah, of course.
And show more characters that are endemic to the group, maybe I'll be accepted. Knowing that inside you're actually restricting yourself from being the person you want to be. You see?
Yeah, it's all...
Also, from the code part of the word, I think code switching is still going to be around as long as there's diversity.
Man, code switching will
we are way too different as people, and we speak different languages and different cultures. So sometimes for example, when you go to your culture, there's a thing that are frowned upon.
Yes.
So I have to code switch in order to switch from you.
Yeah, especially if it carries punishment. Like, I mean, I can now just think of a scenario where I might have to code switch. Like, I'm obviously not well versed with the street lingo, but if I have to go to Kayalicha or to the hood right now, like, I feel like I will stand out if I continue to just speak English in the way that I speak it.
Definitely.
Like, and you know what it's like, it's rough out there. When you're new, you're subject to robbery and stuff like that, or being ridiculed, or being, called derogatory names.
But if you can blend in and speak the way you speak, then
you
you're not an easy target. You survive in that way.
Yeah, but I feel like, I think there's always... I think it's important for you, obviously, to know how to blend in. But, I feel like some things, man... this inability to stand out as well, I still feel like is a disservice to oneself, man. Because I feel like if you're trying so hard to just blend in and not try and stand out to be your own person, you might also have resentment in the future now.
No.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I guess
you just blend in so much that one day you're like, I never actually did the things I wanted to do, man, because I was afraid I might become an outcast to these cats. Yeah, they won't accept me.
Yeah, but I mean,
It just goes back to what I just said about principles and values. If you
Exactly,
if those are still intact, but you can still code switch, then I think that should be fine. There shouldn't be any problem. But then if you change your principles and values to accommodate people, and then that's the problem. For
Yeah,
me.
exactly. So it's like here, it's a matter of survival now. I just found myself being in college, I might do, and then I kind of have to code switch a bit just so I can survive the scenery that I'm in. Otherwise, it's like at the end of the day, I'd much rather not go there. You know, I don't want to go and fit in, but I found myself there because
So
maybe
just
I have
want
a
to
task to
survive at
carry
that
out.
point.
Yes,
So I
no.
will code switch there.
Yes, I get it. That's more of a momentary type of thing.
Yeah.
It's just to survive that specific situation and be out of there, right? But there are specific parts where you're sort of trapped in the specific thing. There's simply just no way out of you but to code switch until you die. Like, for example, at work. It doesn't matter, man. Even if you don't want to code switch at work, you have to code switch at work. You'll be having board meetings.
Yeah.
You'll be having all kinds of, where you meet people who are coming to your work, your boss, your colleagues. You'll have to speak in a specific way. The funny thing is, man, at work, you'll make friends there, right? And you'll find yourself speaking in a slang type of street
Yeah,
way
that
of
happens, of
speaking,
course,
right?
yeah.
And you might slip in a way while speaking to your boss. Yeah. Sometimes you even become friends with your boss, and you don't even have to code switch anymore. Some people do that. They sort of hack the system in a way,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
and present, and they feel like they don't have to code switch. They might code switch only if it's like really, really, really formal times, like where there's a board meeting, I have to present maybe my results or whatever it is that is happening, and then I'll code switch for that time. But somehow they've made their environment. They've terraformed. It's called terraforming, right?
Yeah.
Where you change the environment to suit your needs. So some people do that, and I think those are the people that I admire myself. Because I don't like feeling like I'm not being myself, man, at all times.
Yeah, so then you don't belong to that situation because it's like looking at work, no? There's rules to the shit. You kind of have to be a certain way when you're there. Being professional allows you to, like convey information and carry out tasks in the most efficient way.
Yeah, for sure.
Such that there is no misunderstanding. I can now say a slang term and people don't understand what it is exactly I am demanding of them. You know, which is why professional behavior is a thing that you need to morph into when you're at work. No?
I feel you, man.
So it's much like when you're playing soccer on the street. Street football has different rules to when you go to the thing.
actual
When you
thing,
don't do the
yeah.
thing, you get there's a penalty for it. You know. So that's what I'm saying. Like depending on where you find yourself in, if it's life threatening, by all means code switch if it will save you.
Yes, no, look, don't get me wrong, man. I'm not against code switching in the workplace or speaking or doing things in a professional way. What I'm saying is there are always loopholes to certain things. You can still do your work. Obviously, if you're communicating to someone in a way where it's about work, I don't think at work you're always speaking about work, man. I might just have you here as my nigga. That's like if I have my cubicle here and your cubicle is there. When I speak to you, it's not always going to be about work. There's always break, obviously, lunchtime, and we're just outside speaking. Yes, we might say a bit about work while having a conversation, but I'm sure we'll speak about other things, your movies or whatever, especially if you're friends or you're close friends, right? So in that way, I can still sleep myself to be myself in that occasion.
And you're saying this as a phenomena that happens. Like you think people still are code switching even during break time.
Some people do, my man, especially people who
that's
want
a
to be
little messed up
respected.
for those people.
Especially people who want to be respected. There are people who want power, my man. They're at work all the time and they always try to play a character because they feel like if they break this character, they might you might not start becoming too familiar with them now. You get what I'm saying? Especially if they are above you. They are your managers or your bosses.
Yeah.
So they keep you at that specific place. You know those cat people?
Yeah.
I would rather fucking go home and sleep with my cats than to be friends with these cats. They'll
Oh, I
disrespect
see.
me.
Yeah,
They'll
exactly.
disrespect me. So they're stuck in their persona, man. They have code switched so much to the point whereby they feel like this is the way now. Just to
Bruh, I
to
think
survive.
this is probably why I'm not even excited about this lockdown thing finishing because now you got to go and now deal with these people.
Yeah.
You know, at some point they subject you to subtle forms of sabotage. Like, you know, you ask for one thing and because they want you to keep you in that position there where you are less than them. You know, there's always stuff happening, bro. So it's like I'm not excited at all.
But I think you know ladies like that, right? You know when people say, this person was meant to become a CEO. It's because your temperament, man, is just...
The way you carry yourself.
The way you
your
carry yourself
demeanor.
is just so professional that even when you're not at work, even with your kids, you're so formal and so cold, man.
Right.
You're just like that.
No, they're gonna
Which
do
is
that.
why you have to change your demeanor to code switch. Because you
see
can't
now?
stay with the same demeanor.
Yeah,
all throughout,
exactly. Yeah.
Speaking
I
of
think it's kind of stupid to be professional and a CEO inside the house.
I don't
Yeah,
think
it
you're trying,
is.
man. You're not. It's just you become so familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's like those people, man, when you get to varsity, the only thing they care about is simply their work, man. They're very good at what they do, but because they put so much effort into it. But it starts to bleed into who they are because they neglect other things in their life.
Okay.
So they're not balancing their life out very well.
And that's what they do every day.
That's what they do.
become
It
them.
becomes almost like who they
Right
are.
of them.
So the persona has been assimilated now into the real person now, their real personality.
Yeah, no, that makes sense then. Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of professionalism, I do you remember the guy who killed is it the guy who killed Trayvon Martin? What's his name? There was-
Is it police boy?
no, it's just a civilian. I just forgot his name.
Okay.
But anyways, he was in court, the one who won the case. He was in court, and then there was a witness. But the witness was speaking Ebonics. Is it Ebonics? The American, African American English. So she was speaking Ebonics inside the courtroom. And then even though what she was saying was like the concrete evidence that would have incriminated the dude, he was speaking Ebonics, not in like standard English. So the judges and everyone in the courtroom couldn't understand what she was saying. So
I
you see the what I'm trying to say is sometimes to be able to code switch is a good thing. You can benefit other people. as
Actually,
well.
it could be toxic to not be able to code
to
switch,
code switch exactly.
depending on where you are.
Yeah. So what happens is at the end of the day, people focus on how she was speaking instead of what she was saying.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So you see,
Yeah, but I mean, in such cases, then, man, why not just treat that person as if they're sort of like someone that speaks Venda, right? Just have someone who translates into proper
hey man,
English.
vendors are gonna come for you.
No. Look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, let's say now there's a person who doesn't speak English. Could be Venda, Xhosa, Sotho, Tswana, Pedi, any other language, right? If that person goes to a court case and they can't speak English, they're going to have someone who translate what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
The same way that there's also people who translate sign language, right? What?
Yeah.
They should have had someone who's like that then. Who's going to translate that
The
English
Ebonics
into
into
the more
English.
professional
The
type
thing
of
is, I
English.
think most of the time it's because of what do you call it, your lawyers. If it doesn't occur to them, then it doesn't happen, because it's like it looks intelligible to us that that's what should have happened. But maybe he had a state lawyer,
Yeah, and then
you know, and not necessarily his own lawyer, like the guy who died, like who was representing
they
him.
couldn't afford a private lawyer.
Exactly. So it's
They
like
cannot
those
sign
people
it.
who get paid a lot really put in the work, to try and get you off a case or something like that, right? So it's I think it's just one of those things where a court case was set up, right? And then now this woman just found herself having to be one of the chief witnesses, there. And
she
without
wasn't
much
prepped.
investigation into how that happened, the case now was just lost.
And she was, I think she was not even in prep nyana there to say, okay, this is how you're gonna speak. You must carry yourself in a certain way because we're in a courtroom now.
I think so.
I think the preparation was not enough in that case.
Yeah.
So code switching is important in that regard. That you need to be prepared to, to code switch at any given moment.
But no, I suppose my question now becomes this, man. So let's say we are in the future now, right? Which one should work now? Diversity or I don't know how to ask this thing. Right now, you said the person that spoke Ebonics, right? People couldn't understand what she was saying
Yeah.
because of the way she spoke.
Oh,
And I'm sure the
spoke, yeah.
twang, the accent, and
Yeah,
the choice of words as well.
yeah.
You know, yeah.
She was even swearing yeah in the courtroom.
You see, that's
So, you know how African Americans speak that when they speak Ebonics. So it was some like exactly like even worse.
Yeah, but the
So-
thing is, man, like, why is it that when someone speaks English in their own way, it seems as less intelligent?
In their accent, you mean?
Because I mean, even if you go to a job interview right now and you speak English the way you want to speak it, right, not the way that is expected, you are obviously having your own idiosyncrasies and eccentric words that you are using, right? As long as I'm not swearing at you or saying things that are vulgar, why is it so bad that people cannot allow me to be who I am? As long as I'm mixing it with the words that like the diction, as long as the diction is still there. You get what I'm saying, right? The terminologies that are required are still there.
Yeah, but then there's a format to things. You see, that's where we kind of need to upstage ourselves. Like, I don't think people are selected against for not having the most biggest words in their thing or not having the best accent. It's just the English should just be there. And now, if you find yourself in positions of, like, let me not say positions of power, but like holding positions in a company and not being able to speak English still, then it might be a little questionable how your education.
How you
too.
managed, yeah.
Yeah, because now you can't be in the board of directors and still sound like not sound, and still not have the English. How did you get there then?
Yes, it's not. But I'm not saying you should not have English. Let's say you have English, right? Okay, let's say Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish is a successful comedian, right? But you've listened to the way she speaks. When she wants to, she'll have that hood type of
the twang,
way of
stuff like that,
speaking, right? So now my question is, man. Let's say I am educated. I know my work. Right? My work speaks for itself. When it comes to submit, I submit. And I'm an A student. Let's put it like that, right? Now I'm going to a job interview, right? When I get to the job interview, there's a specific way that I speak. But when you look at my resume, it speaks for itself. I do everything that needs to be done. I volunteer. At school, I am on top of my class. I do everything that needs to be done, right? But now, because of the way I choose to articulate myself,
which is why I'm thinking now you should not be doing that, because it's like, I know hood language, no? That is not the proper way of speaking.
But now what if I have not been exposed now?
No, but I think it's like a secondary way of speaking. In the hood, niggas speak a certain way because it's just like colloquial shit. You know, it's in a way. Like, you know, that's not how it also speak like on a general thing.
Oh, yeah,
but it's like a hood thing. No?
Yeah.
Yes.
Rather not have that. I think it's like a thing that you actually choose to say, okay, y'all, you know, it's. I don't think that's how black people speak generally. It might have a thing where the accent is a little different from the white people, no? But now there's a thing that they celebrate because of the hip hop culture and stuff like that.
But
And
that's
then
who
now
they
start
are.
sounding
It
like
is
that.
part of their culture now.
Yeah, but now it's colloquial, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not mainstream.
Okay, so let me ask
Yeah,
now.
okay.
Yeah, black people
It's
like.
not-
Of course,
That's the problem I was going to get to. That mainstream word. The mainstream is the problem for me. This is what I was going to ask you. Okay, let's say now. Okay, let me just choose something that's more literate now. Things that, like, for example, draw from things that are published. Have you ever read the book 1989 by George Orwell?
No, what's is it about?
Yeah, no, I haven't
It's
read
about
it.
this thing, population control, controlling people, man. Where people have to behave in a specific way, do specific things, don't do specific other things, to the point where the government is spying on them
Okay.
throughout their entire lives. They'll have cameras inside the TV to make sure that you're always doing things you're supposed to be doing and not doing things you're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And if you deviate from what is expected from you, they take you to room 101. Is it room 101 or 105? Whatever. But my point is, in that room, they put you in this simulation whereby your worst nightmares, they are realized. Until you break and confess to things you've done there and agree to do what they want you to do. So in a way, they're sort of trying to make everyone into a clone. Everyone behaves the way that is expected. So if you have an interest that falls outside of what is expected, you cannot even venture into doing that now, because you're expected so much to become sort of like a clone, like everyone else.
Okay.
You cannot deviate. So now that's what I was going to ask. Which one is better for society now? Diversity, or everyone just being a clone so that no one is an outcast?
I think by diversity it just means you are being yourself, you are being who you are.
But now the question
But then you are two different at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is why
you see,
I mean, there's standard protocol, man. That's what I was just trying to say. Like, there's a standard way of being when you are in an interview. You can't now speak a certain way that could force this person to not get your proper articulation of what they're saying. No?
I think I don't know.
Because that's why there's professional behavior. That's why we kind of have to wear uniforms in school and everything, because there is diversity. But then because of our preconceived notions and stuff like that, we standardize it by all having uniforms. Then nobody gets made fun of. Nobody gets thought of as less or more because of that. No? So because it's like it's potentially going to give a problem at some point. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like that court case, and it was mishandled. But I kind of understand, though, like, if there is a chance that the information was not passed in how colloquial she was being when she was speaking, then I think maybe it should be a thing that we should think about, that maybe people should be having standard English when they communicate, because maybe they lost the case, not because she didn't say the truth, but it got misconstrued.
it got lost in translation.
Yeah. Or she wasn't understood. Because she was speaking in Ebonics and language that maybe is not appropriate for courtrooms.
Yeah, and I think most of the time when you're in court, right? Like, this is a thing that also happens. I think you declare the language that you can't speak.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they went through all that whole protocol, no? And she said, no, I can't speak English and everything like that. It's just that now when it was now being said, it was a different type of English.
Also, man, I think, being in the same place for a long time also put
Makes
you
it
at a
comfortable,
disadvantage.
that is true. Yeah.
Because you used to that only language and then you have to switch. It's difficult.
But now, this brings me to my question now, man. Like, is it possible then to be fully yourself now in the world?
I don't know, man.
Because if you're code switching, it means you're faking being something else that is which is not you, right?
Is it? Who would you
No,
say
like
it's
it's like,
faking?
I don't. You know, like
Is
with
it not
code
faking,
switching,
though?
no?
Like, because the thing is like this, right? It's like I'll do it like an electron type of thing. You're a chemist, right? You will understand what I mean. An electron has those shells, right? Around the neutron, right?
Okay.
Right?
The
Or
nucleus. Yeah.
Nucleus, sorry. Around the nucleus, right? So you have those orbital shells. So if there's two, let's say there's two orbital shells, and there's an electron here in the lowest orbital shell.
Yeah.
That is the orbital shell it's supposed to be in. That's its natural state. It will use energy that allows it to stay there. For it to jump into the next stage, you need to put in energy now to stay there.
Okay.
And if it's there, it cannot maintain. You know this, right? Unless this energy is in constant supply. As soon as that energy is not there, it falls down.
Okay.
For me, it feels like code switching is you jumping into that next orbital, where you always have to be like mindful that I'm saying this thing in the way that needs to be said. I'm not calm in where like I'm just saying whatever I need to say and I know that's who I am. That's why I'm saying it's a fake version of yourself. Because if you are natural and you just go home now, you're not going to even think of speaking like that. It's not truly who you are. That's why it's called a persona, right? It's a person, a character I'm creating for that specific scenario.
That's why I'm saying.
So
like,
you can
I
agree
think-
that. Can we say it's fake or it's just multiple personalities?
Well, then it makes it fake because it's not your true personality. It's the personality you're creating because you know that is what is wanted in that environment.
But
You
that's
know.
another version of you. I wouldn't say it's fake. I would say
yeah,
that's
it's
another
like that's what I'm
personality
saying.
of
Like
you.
as
It's
long as you
another
stay
version
true to
of
yourself,
you.
still, but
But is it who you?
it's the
truly are?
aesthetics of it that you have just changed. It's not your whole personality.
Yeah.
Like that's the code switching that I'm trying to protect here because it's like you just went to the office now. Right? You can still be a funny cat, but I mean there's a limit to the amount of funny things you can say, because then it could be considered as you are just playing around at the office. Right?
Yes.
But I mean, there's professional behavior, which is what I'm saying. Like, it's like I don't think now you have taken everything that you do, and now you kind of need to be talking a lot the whole time. If you talk a lot, then you are amiss. You're not in the right space that you should be in, because you kind of need to give people space to work too. And now, if you're a cat that speaks a lot, code switch and talk less.
So now my question comes now. So there's a right way and a wrong way of code switching. Then.
That's what I think.
Well,
You know,
If it is to your own detriment,
then it's the wrong way.
It's a-
it's the wrong way. Yeah.
Okay. That's an
as I've said,
interesting
if you trample upon your principles and morals, then you should know that this is a wrong
Yeah,
way.
that's
So
what
what
I
is the
think,
right way of code switching? Is to maintain who you are, but assimilate the characteristics
Yeah,
that are
you
required for that
have to
environment
assimilate
while still
Yeah.
maintaining
who you are.
who you are at the core.
The
Just playing by
concept,
the rules.
yeah.
Just knowing that I need to tone this down for now, but as soon as this thing is done, I'm out.
I'm
I'm
back
back
to my
again.
usual
Okay.
self.
It's just not required for the task. Why do it then?
Also, speaking of professionalism in the, let's say in a school environment, there was a case where maybe you know, maybe you don't know. There was this lady, I think her name is Patel. I think her surname is Patel. I just forget the first name. She was protesting. Okay, she was the front person for the protest
Okay.
because they were in her school they wanted their hair to be in a certain way. You know, most
Oh, I think I might have seen something like
yeah.
that.
So I think her name is Zukela or something.
Okay.
But they didn't want. She had an afro.
Mm.
You know, all the other black girls they had certain kind of hairstyle. I think she had an afro, but then in her school they said she must tuck it in and
Like it's
put
untidy.
it on. It was untidy. So in a way, she had to switch for a longest time until they went to a protest.
You see,
No,
now,
I
these
see.
are the things I'm against.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yes.
like,
So-
because they always say you won't get a job if you have dreadlocks. But what if like I'm a Rastafarian and it's my culture now?
Yeah,
I
of
have to
course.
cut off my hair now and
Yeah.
be something I'm not because I need to get a job.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think
What does
like
my hair
with
have to do
time,
with
no?
what I can do.
I know Peach said like this thing is going to be long standing and far into the future we're still going to be code switching, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I also think like the world is changing bit by bit. Now you still get you get people with rastas now in the workplace. I think that's because perspectives are starting to change from time to time. Like I don't suppose you will still find I guess you will still find schools where girls are being selected against for having afros and stuff like that, right? But I think it's becoming more of an acceptable thing because we are breaking down these barriers and what do you call it, like this discrimination that is there because it's more of an apartheid thing if you think about it. Because it's like well, the kinkier your hair is, the untidy it is, because the standard has been the white person.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like that time. That's where it's a little toxic to code switch, because you're code switching just so you can propagate a very discriminatory idea. You see, so that is whack, there. It's actually wrong.
Yeah, but you see, the reason why I'm asking you this thing, man, because I feel like there are also unfair expectations for code switching. So, for example, when I was in primary school, I went to an English primary school, so they spoke English there. But the rules were so harsh that even a black person speaking to a black person, if they are caught speaking their mother's tongue, they go to detention or they are punished for speaking their own language, just because they are in a English-speaking school.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not in the classroom now, right? It's lunchtime. I'm speaking to my friend. We both understand the language we are speaking. Why is it that we should speak English so that everyone hears us? It has nothing to do with everyone else who's working outside. We are just speaking.
Yeah, there's a flaw in the theory, but I do understand it, though. Like, like much like with most of our black people's parenting, it has never been a negotiation. So you kind of have these things that you should do, right? You should just say yes or no. No, yes to what they say. No? So I think that's what was happening in the schooling system, where they were encouraging you guys to learn English, right? And then now, when you're caught speaking anything else, apart from English, then maybe you have stopped that training. They just wanted to what do you call it? Like, so many schools do that.
Yes,
like,
but
it's a way to teach
is,
English.
Okay, let me ask: is there a point whereby the expectations for people to code switch becomes a form of oppression, or a tool for oppression, of oppressing people?
It's exactly like what this guy just said, like the whole Afro situation.
It does,
because it stems from discrimination and oppression already, and now it's being enforced. So you feel uncomfortable as a person.
Yeah, we must assimilate to what they've
attacking your well-being already.
Well, that's what I feel like. I feel like sometimes I don't really necessarily have a problem with code switching, though I feel like there are specific situations whereby I feel like it's not being used as a way to brainwash people, man. To change people from who they truly are.
Yeah, no, that's
and
true. And
oppress them to be things that they are not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even if you've become now good at code switching, yes, you're doing it well now, you are still unhappy now. Because all the time you know that this is the version of myself that I don't really want to be. But because I need to survive in this place, I just have to do it, and just be what I'm expected.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, if it's oppression, then it's much easier to see.
Yeah.
I guess, like, during the slavery times, it kind of was like a thing where you have to abide by certain rules, even if they are, inhumane. It's just that now you're trying to survive. That's why you've had to code switch. You basically do not have a choice there anyway. Unless for this girl, like, she could have just went to another school. But then obviously they fought because they cannot let that happen.
It's going to continue to happen over and
18
over again.
or what time that was. And we are saying that our apartheid is a thing of the past. So it's like she kind of had to step out now because it's oppression now.
Okay, so let me just ask now, man. So what are the advantages? Let's start with the advantages of code switching.
I think it depends, man. Let's say in a school environment, I would say if you go to a school where it's only a school in say in Kailicha, where there's predominantly black people. So sometimes in those schools you get taught English in Sixhosa, maths in Sixhosa, physics in Sixhosa. The teachers have to constantly code switch.
Yeah.
So that they make sure that they learn, I guess, to understand the concept very well in their mother tongue. They have to constantly code switch. But I think in that regard, then the code switching becomes an advantage because if, for example, I'm in grade 5 and I don't understand English very well and I'm being taught mathematics or English, then if a teacher manages to code switch or take an English word and explain it in my own native language, then I'll understand even much better.
I see no problem.
That's an advantage in that
because
case.
The way that I see it, because it's a label. Most of the time, the stigma associated with any label. Just because you don't understand it, but because it's labeled now, it already has a negative connotation to it. But that's not to say, to its fullest extent, it's always like that.
Okay, now
it could be potentially beneficial.
Yeah, let me ask in the context of a relationship, right? So I was speaking to someone during the week. And they said to me, they feel like it's unfair that when someone goes into a relationship, they are expected to change, right? Obviously, it was a long discussion because they were like, well, when you go into a relationship, you're not expecting that you're not going to be accepted for who you are. But then I said, that's a naive way of thinking, right? Because you're not a perfect human being. No one is a perfect human being. When you go into a relationship, there are going to be certain things that you may like doing, and they work for you. alone.
Mm.
But now because there's someone else there,
You have
they
to accommodate.
impede. It's not, and then it's a form of you're hurting the other person now.
Mm.
And you now denying to change who you are just because you feel like I will not be told to change who I am now. It's
Okay.
unfair. So now my question is there code switching in a relationship? Because for me, I feel like there is, right?
There is for me too.
And is it a fair thing to be expected to change if your behavior is hurtful to the relationship or hurting to the other person?
I think
Or
for yeah.
should it be because you want to do it? Because that's what the person said. They said you can only change in a relationship if you want to. The other person must not expect you to change. They should just accept you for you who you are.
Yeah, I think so.
Now-
Like I think there's code switching in the sense that there are things, qualities, or ways to be that make your partner more. What can I say? More accepting of your presence in their lives. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I might have very strong opinions about something, and if you continue doing it, then I guess maybe that relationship should stop for as long as I see this thing still happening. You know? So
So
it's like if it's gonna be a thing that makes you very uncomfortable, then we should part ways then. Or code switch for as long as it's not like entirely too hurtful for you to do that.
I think it would be important to code switch, man, so that you can accommodate another person.
Yeah.
Because in a relationship now, you have to, try to find a common ground if you are too different.
You know?
If there's no common ground, the common ground forces you to code switch
Yeah.
so that you can,
I mean, the more that you have in common,
Yeah.
with the more the other stuff you can compromise about.
So now my question is this
Somewhere,
now.
yeah.
Should you go into a relationship expecting that you might have to tweak yourself here and there just to accommodate the other person?
It does.
Or should you go into a
Yeah,
relationship
well, I
expecting
think you
that,
should.
fuck it, that nigga will have to accept me for whatever I am?
Well, if you stubborn and arrogant
Yeah.
about it,
If you're militant or you've been hurt a lot in some
Yeah.
way, I guess people can have such an expectation going into relationships now, saying that okay, no, I cannot change because the time that I changed, I've been
And,
played,
yeah.
or dribbled, and everything like that. You know, that sort of thing. No?
But is that a healthy way of thinking about things now? Because now you're only thinking from your own perspective. You forget a relationship is no longer about you now. Yes, if you are alone, you will not change. It's fine. And especially when it comes to friends, right? They may choose to become your friends or not. But as soon as you go into a relationship, because the person on I was saying, expectations. The word expectations is wrong, and people should not even have expectations in going into a relationship, because now that's when they expect people to change. But then I explained, as soon as something is defined, it gives you expectations already.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
even. It's not that you want to have expectations. But
Yeah.
if someone says this is a lighter, the word lighter means it does a specific function. So
Exactly.
you're expecting it to have that function. It's
course.
not like you chose. So now my point is now, my man. So this code switching now in relationships, right? How can I put this thing now? Can it be foregone? Like, is there a way to make relationships work without it?
If you properly define the relationship,
Like, do you think this
Because-
polyamory stuff is
something
is
like
the
that.
answer?
Because now, if you're gonna be like in a very exclusive relationship where it's like
just the two of you.
just the two of you, and now you expect for this person to be your everything or whatever, well then
You're not
already
really-
there are expectations now. Unless if you say like, oh no, we just like to have sex, and that's all
And
we're
that's
gonna
it.
do. So it's like once we out here, don't even text me or whatever. Text
Then
me
you
if
don't
you
have
want
to
me to
change.
come here for the shit. If I'm not
Yeah.
with it, then I'm not coming. Like that. That's
See,
sort of
I
thing.
think
you know?
I also feel like people who don't want to change are suitable for such.
Yeah,
relationships.
exactly. Yeah.
Then you're still who you are. You just come, we do what we wanted to do, and then we don't annoy each other because then you leave. You do
Of
your
course,
stuff
yeah.
like that. So there's
So
no way
that's-
outside of code switching.
No.
I know it's
there's
not
no
easy,
way,
bro.
If you can, then again go back to disadvantages. Let's take the school context, in a school context.
Right,
So
bro.
goes back to my scenario about schools in the same place where they are being taught in the native language to make them understand the concept. And again, the disadvantage now of that part is that now they take time, to develop and to grasp the concept, because they constantly have to switch between the two languages.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if you kids are like that or like me or not when they speak English. First of all, I have to I have to speak in my native language inside me and then translate all of that into English.
Oh,
I don't know if everyone does that.
I think I was like that at first when I
Yeah.
was learning English, like in primary school. But I think now, man, I'm more an English person than I am what I actually am. Because I speak English more than I speak any other language. Even when I think, sometimes I'll think in English. You see? So that's kind of like a thing for me.
Yeah.
I've become so equipped with it.
Yeah,
now,
no,
man,
they've
that-
beaten us into it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
So that training there at primary school worked, you see?
it works. They beat me into my head.
Yeah, but then I guess maybe at the end of the day, we just kind of need to be aware of the reasons why it's being done. Was it from an oppression point of view, or were they
was
trying to, foster
To
learning
learn you.
when
Yeah.
it comes to English? So that's where I'm saying, like, it's a little bit of a gray area for me because I don't understand the context of a primary school, you know? But if there were elements of apartheid in it, then that might be a reason for you to complain or even, like, talk, what can I say? Speak out about it.
Look, the thing is for me, man, I still feel like it's unfair that all of us have to speak English as one language to communicate throughout the world, right? So, for example, right now with the COVID-19 thing, right?
Mm.
They've created a mask now. I just saw now on Hypebeast. They've created a mask. There are two types of masks there. So the first one is the one that you can control the temperature of the mask to kill the virus there, so that you don't have to keep washing your mask. You can increase the temperature of your stuff after wearing it,
Okay.
and it kills the stuff. But there's now this new mask now.
Okay.
You can wear the mask, right? Speak your language, and the mask decodes your language into whatever language that person you're speaking to.
That's, yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
sure. It has a list of languages that you can translate between. So I can speak my own language, like, hey man, when's that? Then like the mask will translate that and be like, what are you doing? You hear what you
I
want to
see.
say, but I'm still
Yeah.
being myself. Because I feel like to code switch means someone has set up a standard that this is the standard they want. Now it means all of us now need to contort ourselves into what you expect us to be, just because you have the power, which in a way is still a type of oppression, right? Why is it that I have to bend myself to your will? I get it. It comes from the World War II, right? That the English won, and obviously English became
The
the leading
official
language, the official
universal language.
Yeah, but even that is because they have power, right?
Yeah,
Which means
that's
in
true.
a way they're still putting our
Yeah,
foot on
that's
top of
true.
our
I
necks
see
now
what you mean.
to do what they want us to do.
Most of the time, I see where things came from, no? And then that's okay, but that's in the past for me, though. Now I'm looking at how can I use it, and does it allow me to achieve the most efficiency while doing it? So it's like with the current system where there's a standard already, and people are already speaking English, and the most people that I meet are speaking English. For me, that's an okay thing. I do not agree with the idea of how it came about. Like you guys telling me that
Yeah.
this was from a power perspective and everything, but that's where we at now.
Yeah, but the thing is, my man, I feel like there's always two powers at play in the world, right? You're either a conformist, it's like, fuck it, this is the world now. This is the world I was born into. This is how things work. The best thing I can do is to play this game to the best of my capabilities and make the best of it. Make the
Okay.
best of the given scenario, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the other people now who are like, when you're actually looking at the whole thing, it's a very unfair system, the way it's built. Because
Yeah.
now it's putting me at a disadvantage. And then the other people who are at a disadvantage don't even see that they're at an advantage. Now I look like a fool now because I have to work 3 times as hard. Like Apio said.
Yeah.
Now I need to have my language, convert that language now into your language, then try and communicate with you now, which is even harder for me now. So why is it that I have to conform to your standards? I have my own standards, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you kind of have to be aware of that grievance. And for me, like I'm just saying outright, like for me it's not a problem because I just have figured out a way to work these things out. No? But I do feel for people who now have to have like certain levels of translation before they get to when they can speak. Right? So I do sympathize with that. So it's like you are right. Like once you are aware of it, for me it's like you guys are making me aware of it now, and I might be more vocal in trying to get people to speak whatever language they might want to speak at the time. Right? But it's with the most like in the most situations that I find myself in, English is the common denominator.
Yes, it is a common denominator.
And then you'll have one person that speak Czech Republic and whatever language that is. Now I understand with technological advancements it's possible to now give that person a voice. But it just so happens that the field of play now has no Czech Republic people speaking, language speakers.
Yes, but why is that?
So how can we,
But why is that now? That's what I was saying. This is the powers that I play now. It's a game in a way, my man. It's like playing
No,
Monopoly.
but it's
right?
a game, but it's also the way that it is. There's not a lot of people that speak Czech Republic around the world. So it's like if you're going to find yourself in Africa, I doubt you're going to be catered for. And now if you're going to find grievances in that, I think it's a bit of a reach because you speak Czech Republic and not so many people even speak it there, and you expect for people to address you that way.
I'm not saying that you should expect people to address you in that way. I'm saying that the norm needs to be changed. It has become a norm now that English is the language that everyone needs to speak. And I've explained to you why it is like that, right? This is like Christianity, right? People going all over like different countries with the crusade, spreading the gospel, even killing some people.
So do you feel like you get your power back if what do you call it?
Speak your language.
Yeah.
I think yes.
You
Get to preserve some part of yourself that you are proud of. I feel like that's why some people feel depressed, man, and they don't feel proud, like pride in who they truly are. Because the part that makes them who they are, sometimes they have to suppress and build another part of someone else. And white people doesn't feel pressured to learn your language, my man.
Yeah, but I see it like, but all I'm saying is that I don't have the same
to
grievances
accommodate
as you, though. That's what I'm saying, because it's like I have not attached my language. It's just a form of a way of expression, no? But I express myself in that, though. I'm just saying it in English, but it's like I don't feel like I've lost a part of me now because that's what I'm saying, like case by case, like much like what Peach is saying. So many levels of translation before he starts to speak. You know, that is disadvantageous for him. You know? But for me, it's not. And I get to carry myself in the way that I would like, you know. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's when you pick up a grievance, no? I think it's in the context of how you see things.
Exactly. That's what I was saying, my man. That's why I'm saying that I don't feel like everyone will have a problem with it. But for those who do, in most cases, their voices are unheard because the majority of people are more in the line of conforming. They've just learned how to conform because that is what they were taught since they were kids. In primary school,
no, conforming has a very negative connotation to it.
But isn't that what code switching? Like, we just agreed now that code switching is a tool for
you have divided the planet into two people, no? The ones that conform and the ones that that see grievances and want to change something about it.
Yes, but in this case, I'm not talking about those two people. I'm saying code switching for me. This is my explanation. I think even when we started speaking about this thing, we agreed that code switching is used so that people are better adapted to their environment, right? To adapt is to conform to a specific thing, right? If you are not standing out to something, you are conforming. You are forming part of the baseline. That's why we said you do not stick out. That is conforming. You conform to a specific environment.
Okay.
Because we said if you do not conform sometimes and you stick out, that's when you face rejection. The majority of people will more likely conform with the environment than want to stick out from it. Because no one wants to be isolated.
What's the purpose of sticking out? That's what I'm trying to ask you here.
It depends, my man, why you stick out. Sometimes you might feel like, okay, we are all conforming, right? It's the same thing that I told you about Snowpiercer, right? Where the lady came and told the people at the back of the train that they are shoes. You must conform to your environment. Accept that you are a shoe. Stay there and do what everyone else is also doing there. Even if you might have the understanding of saying that, no, man, but we are at the back of the train and there's someone there in front who has a way better life than me.
You see,
why
that's
should
why
I accept?
Why
should I accept?
That's why when you label someone as a conformist, no, it's too general because it's like there are things that you pick up and sometimes you don't because you just grew up in the system. That's not a thing that you took, decided and said, I'm going to conform.
But
you grew up in the system.
Yes, but the system has conditioned you to conform.
If you do understand how the system was made and how this came about, then you'll know that.
No, but you need to be uncomfortable with the system for you to now feel like I should not.
That's what I was saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like if I don't see myself being at a disadvantage because I've been speaking the whole English this whole time, right? I don't see it as a grievance. I'm not going to fight on it. There are other things that I see and feel that they are disadvantageous to me, and I would like for them to change. So, but that doesn't mean I'm a conformist because I speak English. I just don't know anything.
But English is merely an example, bro. We weren't saying because of English. It could be anything else.
Yeah, but then now you're typing a person now and giving them a label to say they are conformists because they are code switching. You see, so that's what I'm saying. Like it's like you only a certain way.
But I'm saying code switching is a tool to help you conform. Now I think you're taking the word conform as a negative thing. It doesn't necessarily have. At the end of the day, my man, life is all about the choices you make, right? Then I cannot say that because you chose to conform, because you felt like the environment was working to your benefit, that you are a bad person because you chose to conform. If I choose to rebel against the system because I feel that it's also my personal
keyword is choose. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Choice. Yes, it's choice.
Sometimes you don't have a choice. You just grow up in a system, and that's all you know.
But
and that's how you built up this whole thing of you using language like that the whole time. Like when you're born into Xhosa culture, are you conforming to the language there?
It depends on what you know.
You just grew up in it.
Exactly, it depends on what you know. But
you
now
didn't choose though.
You didn't choose.
So that doesn't make you a conformist in that sense.
But conforming depends on how much knowledge you know about a specific thing. So for example, if we are all crabs in a bucket, and we're all pulling each other down, that is simply just what we've been conditioned to do, right? Maybe that's part of our culture. You do not know anything outside of that.
Yeah.
But you must understand that as soon as you are a child, for you to fit into that culture, crèche, primary school, high school is going to condition you. to
Exactly.
conform.
Yeah.
That is what they are there to do. They are teaching you the way of doing
Of
things
being,
in
yeah,
that
exactly, yeah.
environment.
Okay.
That is conditioning you. That is conditioning, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Which
yeah.
means conditioning is to do what? Help you conform, to adapt. Right.
Yeah, we
But-
could say it that way. Yeah.
Right. But there are people who might think differently. Their mind simply just doesn't adjust to that type of environment. Right? They are what do you call it? Maladaptives, right? They may see that, okay, I can do this if I want to. But then they have questions. You remember, like, we got to the point where people were called the Y generations.
Yeah.
They could adapt, but then all of a sudden now they had more questions because they were getting more information now that goes against what they are being taught. They could have just said, okay, fine, yes, I have all these questions, but my life is still fine. Let me just continue, man. And nothing is harming me anyway, right? I'm still benefiting. Even if those niggas are poor, at least I'm not them. I don't have to fight the system because it benefits me anyway. I am not struggling. Some people might still feel like, okay, they're benefiting, but because of the injustices to those other people, they feel like they should stand up and be against the system because it is not benefiting everyone. You get what I'm saying? Some other people are being oppressed, as much as I'm not being oppressed. But because of this information that I've gained, though I am adapting to it very well, I see that other people are not adapting and no one is taking them into account. So someone has to stand up for them because their voice is not being heard. That's what I mean by this. It's not that you cannot adapt or conform. You can. But your mind is simply just refusing.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. Like it's
Because you're seeing
for
so
me,
much.
like maybe English was like a very bad example because already we're in the system now and we kind of have to do it. But I don't suppose it does happen. Yes, you might go to a interview and then maybe you struggle to articulate yourself because English is not your home language and everything. That does happen. I understand it. So I get it. I feel like something should be done about that. And maybe, but they do that though, like when it matters most of the time.
Yeah, because I think, for example, a clear example for language is China. If you go to China, yes, it's important for them to know English. And that's why I think they have this teach English in China.
Oh, yeah, for
Right,
sure.
where you can go to Korea or
Yeah.
China and teach English there. Because they know that it is the language that is used across the world
Universal,
because
yeah.
of the circumstances that is beyond them now.
Okay.
They don't have the power to change that. But what they are doing is preserving their own culture. If you move from another country and go to China, you're going to learn in university in China. You have to learn how to learn to use Mandarin and write kanji for a year. You do a 1 year course first of learning their language. Because at the end of the day, you went to their country. Why should they conform to a standard that is not them? They are not English. So just because you come from England, you should not go there expecting that you're going to learn English.
Yeah,
just
but
because
even in
English is
that, they have a
the
common thing though. That suppresses other languages there.
But
Because they don't speak a uniform language there in China. They have dialects and everything. And then they just have this one common thing that they say, okay, across China, you kind of need to know this because you're going to be missed by certain information. No?
yes, which
So
is
it just so
still-
happens that here, it came through oppression. But that's what we have. That's the thing, that's a common denominator when we speak,
Yes,
so it's
yes,
like up until the time where we figure out a system where each one can thrive, we kind of need a common denominator for that time being.
That's true, and I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is, it's okay to have some type of system that works because you need to build these things, like what you said, right? Certain things are slowly changing now. That back in the days we were all accepting, but because someone said something about it, then it changed. Because eventually enough people started noticing that, wait, yes, I actually agree with this person. Then they found a way now to accommodate those people as well, right? So what I'm saying is, it's important to find a way to adjust to the system because at the end of the day, you need to get things going, and you need to know how to communicate with each other.
So let me
using
ask
the
you a
system that
question really
exists.
quickly now.
But there should always be someone challenging you because then, if no one challenges you, bro, you become comfortable in a system that may not be working for everyone.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So let me ask you a question here. I mean, it's been how many years of independence now since apartheid?
For us,
Yeah.
it's 20, how many years now?
Can you
25?
call it independence though?
It's 25 years now.
Is it called independence in South Africa? I know for other countries they call it Independence Day, but I don't think we have Independence Day in
what-
South
what do
Africa.
you-
Yeah, well, since you guys, what do you call it, got black rule, like since '94.
Okay,
And
yeah.
Since 94,
It's
so
been a while
26
now.
years.
Obviously,
It's 26
right?
years now.
So we have a system that seems to be not working according to what we are discussing here. No? What is it then that is stopping the nation from changing?
It's different. It's opposing ideas, man. I think it's opposing
Yes,
ideas
and the prevailing
not
ideas,
knowing how to actually go about catering for everyone as well.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, for the most part, I know South Africa has its demons and everything, but it kind of feels like a more habitable place compared to many other nations in Africa.
It's more
Per se.
accommodating. I would agree. It's more accommodating to more people.
Yeah, because it's like when you walk into a hospital, the people of that, area are represented in the signs. It's either English and maybe some Afrikaans here and there, but I mean, the people
main
from
one is
around that
English.
area have that in their language.
I hear you, but why do you think that was? Do you think if no one complained about circumstances of the past, we would have gotten to a place whereby it's more accommodating?
I
You're
don't
saying
think so.
yourself
It
that other
might have been
countries are
like,
not as accommodating, right?
yeah, no, it's like, I think, much of this thing, I don't think people complained about that specific thing, but a system was taken away, right? An apartheid system. So sometimes you don't have to be seeing all these grievances. One size fits all. Now we are free now to do stuff, and then, naturally things start coming out.
No, the thing is, I feel like maybe it's because you are from outside SA, you may not be fully exposed to other things that South Africa as a whole, even the new South Africa outside of the apartheid matter. For example, there was a long time whereby the Khoisan were not included in our constitution. They were just simply counted as under the colored people. You remember that? They had to stand up for themselves and say, like, we feel like we're not being represented in this nation, man. Our language is not even in part of the 11 official languages, but we were actually the first settlers
To
of the
be
land,
here.
to be here. But yet, nothing about us is anywhere. The only way people know about us is in the cave writings. So now, the government now had to make ways now to somehow include them, make them feel like they're also South Africans. That's why if you look at the emblem, it's written now in that language, just to to accommodate all the people. And I'm sure as the years go on, there will be ways that they are more.
Yeah, but I'm just against the idea that things change only because somebody complained. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm feeling like because there was a new system in place, some things could have just happened naturally, not with somebody complaining. Maybe they did just before apartheid.
Well, but
by
I've never seen a country or circumstances where things change, man, unless someone is uncomfortable and says something about it, because then everyone doesn't know. Especially the ones who are benefiting, they won't know they
won't
need to
know,
change anything.
Yeah, but then so then that means we're sitting on our brains then, because I feel like if you now have independence and you can name hospitals and shit, and stuff to your own accord, and you're not doing it and you're waiting for somebody to complain, then we're sitting on our brains as Africans at the end of the day.
But
and that's why I'm saying I don't think that's the case completely. I think there are things that have, like, with time, happen naturally. Like, oh, my people are not reading. What's happening there?
Let me just ask you this thing, right? Okay, let's say I'll name two protests, right? That enforced change the way that I was seeing it. So let's say the fees must fall thing that started, right?
Okay.
Did you see what happened then? There were things that people always had grievances about. The statues of that nigga, there who was
Cecil Rhodes.
Yes, Rhodes. Right? Those statues were still there, which means people were still glorifying that cat, knowing what he did. But it's only after people decided, like,
This one not.
this is not it, man. We've been tolerating this thing, which means they were always tolerating it, but they didn't like it. Then eventually, because people now were saying what they wanted to say, and they felt like they have a voice finally. Because sometimes you can be one person saying, I don't like that thing, but you're one person, no one really cares. But now, because the collective voice has come together, you feel like you have that voice and the power. It eventually pulled the statue down, which is exactly the same thing that happened now with the Black Lives Matter. Right?
Oh, yeah,
The nigga now there in England statue got towed down because he and his friends obviously were the people who are in charge of the whole slave trades. You see? It mostly takes people, man, to say something and be against something very strongly.
Yeah, I know. Well, I get it. I'm not gonna now, like, bash it completely, but I'm just saying, like, it sort of is a very gloomy idea to think that everything comes through violence or having to be shouted about and everything. Like, sometimes you bring, like, in a relationship, sometimes you just bring something new just to improve the relationship without anybody saying anything about it.
If the communication is good. But let me ask you this.
Even when it's not even, what can I say? Like, even when it has not even been communicated about.
But what if
it's just,
someone,
I think, like, it helps the relationship.
but
Somebody
what
just say something.
What if someone is uncomfortable with those changes and they
refuse it?
They are trampled upon his or her rights?
Yeah, they refuse to change.
Yeah, then
do you think what you are?
We don't change.
We are coming. And sometimes you need to force things, not so. Sometimes
you don't force things. Well, I guess you see now we can't use the relationship.
Well, in a relationship,
we can't use it now because
it's just separated, right?
But I mean, like, I guess I understand what you're saying, but I guess maybe if I am to interpret it in the way that I'm seeing it, the way that you're saying it, are you saying that somebody that's black or whoever might have proposed to change, and then white people thought like that it's trumping their rights?
Yeah, some people still feel so even now about the whole land reform things.
Yeah,
because they feel like, well, yes, maybe my great ancestors took the land from you by force, right? But it wasn't me, right? So technically, I inherit the land.
Yeah,
But
the
people
thing
are
is,
saying,
it's
but
not
still.
it's a multivariate analysis if you think about it. Like, it's not as simple as that. I think sometimes it's easier to say just give us back stuff and everything, no? But I get it. Like, sometimes it's even complicated for people to work this out because I think there might have been economically active white people that probably bought stuff for real and they feel like they have the title deeds to that stuff.
The thing is, they could have bought it from another white person who still got that thing
From
the wrong way. That is the problem.
True.
That's why the government was saying, okay, fine, we will compensate you then.
Yeah, but then the
Relenting for that
outcry
value
has been
compensation.
without compensation, though. I think that's why people have been complaining about that sort of thing.
The white people.
Yeah,
But
I'm
I
not
think there
siding
was a
with
time
them.
where
I'm
there
just
was
saying, like,
compensation, though.
huh?
I thought they eventually got to a point where it will be compensation, though. Was it not the final outcome?
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
complained. Because
Because
it's
at
like,
first of all, the white people are complaining, like, you want us to just give you the land. So then the white be like, the
yeah, I know
government
it's a
said,
complicated thing, man.
But
Because
then
it's
the
like,
way-
I
I
understand
think
it, though.
But in general, the way
understand, yeah.
the way they acquired their assets was through a conquest,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
of
killing
course,
people,
yeah.
which is wrong.
Yeah, but I think you
So-
know this because in the same thing happened, right?
Yeah,
Where
it
Mugabe
does.
asked them nicely, you have this amount of time for you to return the land.
Yeah,
Then
I
you
know
can
it's
go.
also a domain that I don't have too much information about. So that's why I'm kind of like accepting what you guys are saying.
No, the thing is, man, I think if you want to know more about such things, you know Marxism. Karl Marx, you know Karl Marx?
I don't believe in that shit, so it's fine.
Okay, so his revolution is very popular when it comes. Basically, him and the African psychiatrist, what's his name? Frantz Fanon.
Okay, yeah.
Frantz Fanon has a documentary called has a book called Wretched of the Earth, and Blackface is What Masks. Blackface is What Masks is also about this thing of code switching, where black people feel like they don't have power. So, as a result, the only way for them to survive in the
Is to
system
assimilate.
is to assimilate themselves with white people and do
Yeah.
what is expected by the white people.
Yeah.
Even though they were promised freedom, but in terms of economic freedom, they don't have economic freedom.
You don't
I
have
see.
So
Yeah,
they
no,
still
that's
have
true.
to assimilate themselves to the white people.
Yeah. No, I understand it. Like, Marxism as an idea for me, I don't accept it fully. Like, my thing is capitalism. It's just so happens that in Africa it doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's in a
But
simple
it's
way.
like, as a model, I like the model. But here in Africa, it's, there's just so many disparities. Just, something disproportionate always happening. So it's not easy now for that system to work. But people in the Europes there and in America have that system, and it works for so many people.
But
So
isn't
that-
that how normally revolution occurs, though, Farag? The rich, the people who are benefiting from a society don't want to change anything because it benefits them. And if they change now, they will lose some form of power because that power will now have to be distributed, right? So
That-
they keep oppressing those people or don't really do anything to change the circumstances.
But
of
that's the
oppressed.
Marxist narrative, most. That's why I'm saying, like, for me, normally I don't identify with it because, and now it makes it seem like you can't come out of that and make your own money, or like
But
You can, but the
acquire
way
your
you
own
do
assets.
it is going to be way harder for you because now you're part of the oppressed. That's basically what they're saying. You can. And that's why they were saying, in most cases, people who make it out of the struggle, right, don't normally want to go back to the struggle and they assimilate themselves with the white people. Because they know it's tough. If I ever go back there.
That's
it's
what
going
I'm
to be
saying.
tough.
Like, it's like, but I kind of need for what do you call it? These systems of oppression to be clear sometimes because I think it's just a thing that is just thrown around.
To be clear, how now? You want me to explain all the systems of oppression?
No,
There's so many, man.
Well, not really. But I'm just saying, like, it's like, for me, sometimes it's not clear exactly.
how people are being oppressed.
Yeah, I get the model here in essay. That's why I was saying, like, I think maybe the Marxist approach might work for essay, because, for one, like, in order for capitalism to work, it's like you need collateral. That's why people can buy properties, and that allows for them to get other stuff as well. So now, if you think about people in the rural areas, they have property, they have cows, but it's not registered in their name. They have no collateral, So that's like a thing that I'm already saying. Like, it's a mistake that we can have capitalism down here in Africa, because people are not equally equipped to have that sort of livelihoods where they can acquire assets and stuff like that, because they have physical stuff, but it's not in their names and it's not considered as property or whatever. So you can have collateral to get stuff.
And that's the problem here in SA, because it turns out SA in the world, bro, is one of the most, if not the most, unequal countries.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's there at the
The
top.
majority of the entire country is owned by a few people, and the rest of the people are dirt broke.
Exactly, yeah.
But if you grew up in a system where your parents or other people keep telling you, you must accept what you have, you will never want to change that thing.
Yeah,
You'll
that's
just
true.
feel like it's normal. This is what life is. The
Yeah.
white people are smart. I grew up like that. My parents telling me, yo, the white people are so smart.
Yeah, well,
Everything
there's
that's
always
good and
that.
smart, white people
Come
are smart.
from white
Because they've been conditioned to think
Yeah.
like that. It takes someone who is against Agare who's possibly going to be hated at first.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like, why are you trying to be smart now? But
Yeah,
he's just
so it's
seeing
like,
that
which
it's
is why
not
I'm
true.
thinking that when you say that, since I haven't been in essay for long enough to understand everything, because obviously I've largely been focused on my studies. So there are things that I might not have seen. So which is why I'm saying, like, you are validated in saying that Marxist is the only approach to go forward. For me, I would like a mash of the two.
Okay, which and which?
Capitalism and Marxism.
I think that
Like,
was
with
Nelson Mandela.
socialism,
I think that was sort of Nelson Mandela's approach. You should still code switch and accept white people. are
No,
still
but I'm
trying
not
to
saying
change
it
things
in
slowly.
Okay, let's take out these white people in this discussion. I'm now talking about the idea itself. You know what I'm
Which
saying,
idea?
of capitalism and Marxism. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we're speaking about capitalism now.
Yeah. So I know it's just okay. Well, pardon me that I digress.
I was confused. I thought you
Yeah.
were speaking about something.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's just that I understand this whole thing. I'm being a little cautious now in what I'm saying because I realize that I don't know a lot, and maybe I might not be aware of many of the grievances. I do understand what apartheid did and everything, you see, but I don't know it to the fullest extent now to excuse white people. I know, like it's a bad thing, but now here I was just taking a stand for capitalism, not
Yes,
white
yes, yes,
people.
yes, yes.
So this is why I asked like to take them out of the equation and
The
just
thing
speak
is,
about
in
capitalism.
SA now, it's hard to take white people outside of capitalism because they sort of own the capital market.
No,
That's
that's
why they're
true. That's
always
true.
part of
Which
the
is why I was saying,
conversation.
that's why capitalism seems to not work. But as an idea now, it's not a bad one. That's I was taking a stand for it. For me, obviously, this is going to be an idea that is probably not shared amongst the three of us. Anyway,
No,
But
it
it's
has
like-
it has its benefits, man. I won't lie. Because the good thing about capitalism is the fact that if you really play the game very well, you can get out of your circumstances and be
I guess,
among
yeah.
the wealthy people. I suppose that's a good thing about it. Whereas with communism, you're more likely if you're poor, you're going to be poor, because now the government, the state, owns the resources, right?
Yeah.
They simply just distribute according to what class sort of in. It would be nicer if it was more like what happens in Austria or Vienna, right? Where there's equal distribution to people.
Yeah, I see.
No one is really poor. No one is really rich. Everyone is
Okay.
sort of.
So it doesn't matter how much
How
you
much
work,
money,
then
because-
you're still gonna be in the same level.
I think the biggest problem was this thing. Like we are seeing it now with the COVID-19, right? People who provide essential services get paid so little money.
Yeah, that's true.
But now when it's harsh and everything is falling apart, they are expected to go and work, and they put their lives at risk because we need them. But yet
But
the
they
amount
do
they
get a
get
lot
paid.
of money though.
Yeah?
Like being a doctor is a very rewarding career.
Yes, but is everyone getting paid as much as a doctor? Because the thing is, the way we look at things is almost like if the doctor is healing disease and stuff like that, his job is way more important than a plumber. But without the plumber, there'll be shit all over the place.
Yeah,
and all of us
well,
will
I
be
mean, I
sick
guess
to
like
begin
it's
with.
like, but like no, it's
And we'll
okay.
all
Like
be sick.
yeah, no, you guys can look at it that way. I think there should be some sort of reward in the amount of effort you put in to
put
get.
in to become a doctor.
Yeah, it's
I
really
feel you.
expensive to go to school as to be a doctor.
I feel you. That's
And
true.
being a plumber, it's almost like 10,000 a year to train, or less.
I know, my man.
But
I feel
okay,
you.
can we maybe talk about people who are all in a close proximity?
Approximation.
Let's say nurses and doctors, for example.
You see.
You can even see the pay disparities between a nurse and a doctor.
What I think
But
should
they
happen,
kind of hand in hand.
what I think should happen,
Look.
is that the training is not the same. No? Based off of that, I would then expect them to not work too many hours.
But they do work too many hours.
That's
the thing.
where the problem is, because it's now how then do you equate a nurse and a doctor when it comes
Look,
to being paid?
Honestly, I get to your points, right? I feel like a doctor is more intensive training, and they go to university way longer than
Yeah.
a nurse would do, right? But I feel like the way they're being rewarded is a bit still unfair, because after that 7 years, they're simply just doing the same thing as well, just the same way that the nurses are doing. Fine, there should be some form of reward for them at a specific time.
But it's not the same
But-
thing.
Huh?
It's not the same thing.
No, it's not.
I'm not saying they're
But
doing the same
Doctors
thing as
do
nurses.
way more.
I'm not saying they're doing the same
They
thing
do
as
way
nurses.
more, but they work hand in hand.
Yes,
with
but they
nurses.
work
I
hand in
guess,
hand.
yeah.
They
Without
won't do
the
their work
nurses-
without the
So you don't
nurses.
want any reward for being the mastermind of someone's health,
There should be a reward.
and somebody's just like being a helping hand.
Look, I'm saying that there should be a reward, right? But I feel like maybe the way the paying system might not be the best.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe
reward.
they're not getting
might
it
not
nearly
be.
enough that what they should be getting.
Yes.
I guess.
I
Yeah.
feel like it might not be the best way that they've found. I think that it needs to be revised. I'm not saying I have the answer.
Yeah, no, I understand it. From my way of thinking, it's just that I think now when we level the playing field, it kills ambition. Because then
But
people
that
stop
is the
working
problem,
hard
though.
for stuff. Then I might as well be a plumber then, because then I do less work for just as much as a nigga that is burning out trying to get a doctor's degree.
Exactly, I feel you. But you are saying that it will kill ambition if people don't get paid that high.
Mm.
But I feel like it kills ambition because of the fact that people are only wanting to become something because of the money instead of having the actual ambition themselves, the passion. Because if you do something
No, that's
that you
the
enjoy,
you were talking
that in
about
itself
passion
should be
now.
enough.
Ambition is the money thing. The passion is wanting to be a doctor. Yes, I love to be like this, but I guess maybe since it's hard to get to that stuff, you might be ambitious to say I want to earn the rewards for doing this.
Look, Farai, all I'm trying to say is, my man, there are things there where when you look at it, you can clearly see its contribution to things, right? And there are certain things that have just almost enough contribution to society, but they are always taken lightly. You understand? It's almost like people don't appreciate those things until they finally see why these things are actually important. Like the essential workers that work at Pick and Pay. I'm not saying they have to work for 7 years at university to learn how to work a till or give you your money or do all the stuff.
I'll agree with you on one thing.
But I feel like
they're
they
not
should
earning
be.
nearly enough
That's
as they should be.
That's what
But
I'm
they
saying.
should not be earning.
As much as a doctor.
That's what I'm thinking.
But my point is, my man, I think it's because now we are in a capitalistic system, right? So in that capital system, in this type of system, I would agree with you, right? But I still feel like there's a wrong thing whereby you're going to kill someone's dream now. But what if I don't want to become a doctor, my man, right? I want to do something else that will contribute to society. But because I know that I won't get paid enough money for what I'm doing, it discourages me now. I now just follow the line of being an engineer or a doctor.
Even if you're not passionate
Even if I'm
about
not
it.
passionate about it, because there's money. So I'm not fully living up my full potential to be who I'm supposed to be. Because now I am not being rewarded for what I'm doing. And now it's almost like saying that I don't work hard now.
I think,
I may work hard, but just in a different way.
I guess maybe nurses are not, the best example here. But like maybe going back to the plumber situation. I don't recall anybody growing up wanting to be a plumber. I think it's just one of those things where life has dealt you the worst hand, and now you have to do those things, or like work at Pick and Pay. I don't hear anybody growing up saying they want to do that.
I don't think anyone would want to do that because of the stigma that's also associated with it.
Attached to it, yeah.
If there was no stigma at all associated with it and you were getting paid a just amount, I feel like people would be like, I can be myself a cashier.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think this is a very complicated topic, which maybe we need to prepare a bit, because I feel like,
Okay, let me
we
just
don't
ask.
want to discredit what people are doing, man. Because it's like I fully understand where you are coming from. Because it's like I feel like there should be some sort of economic reward for whatever it is. Because all work is honorable at the end of the day.
See,
You know?
that's kind of like what I'm saying, yes.
Yeah. So I identify with that sort of thing. But I also like feel like if you've worked harder than others, you might get more than others.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I don't know
that, man.
about
For 7 years, just because you worked harder for 7 years, my man, it's not like you worked harder your entire life, my man. I feel like a plumber, my man, faces
Well,
other
you kind of have to
also
have a
face
lot
other
of
risks as
discipline
well.
to sustain a doctor's life, my nigga, from even way back. Because you need to meet a certain standard to even go into medical school. It's not even a very easy
all of
thing.
that. I feel that. Yes, I do.
So it's like I
That's
identify
why I'm
with
saying.
what you guys are saying.
But that's why I'm saying, man. I fully agree with you that they should be rewarded for all that discipline and all the time they put in. But I feel like it shouldn't be the way it's being done. So I feel like it should be something like this. You know how it is when you have this stuff, government grants, whereby, let's say they encourage you to become a teacher
Okay.
or a pharmacist or whatever it is they want you to do, right? And then they say, if you finish this thing, you already have a job waiting for you,
Okay.
right?
Incentives, yeah.
Incentives. They give you incentives to do that because it's harder. I feel like that's what they should do. But it doesn't mean that because now you did something hard for 7 years, even when you're done now with that stuff, now you're working, I should still be paying you now. It's almost like someone gave me 5 rand because I needed to go to Melbourne and it was raining. Now each time I meet this person, I need to give them a 5 rand again. Even though I've said thank you now and paid back your 5 rand.
But now there's continued work. Now it's not like you learned 5 years and you stop there. There's
I know.
continued work, like you're keeping people alive.
Exactly. That's
But
what
anyway,
I'm saying.
here's what I'm saying. No? I don't disagree completely with what you guys say. No? I am empathetic on people that are getting less. What I am saying, and I think what I've been trying to say from the beginning, is that I like for it to be a mash or like, capitalistic way of making money. And then a Marxist way of redistributing the wealth.
Let me say this before we can go on. I think every job is important because without that specific job, another job wouldn't happen. Let's take for example the doctors. The doctors will never be able to operate on someone without the nurse inside beside them. Okay, let me move on to this capital thing. My only problem with capitalism, man, is that it always goes back to how it came about to be. The conquest and stuff. That's my only problem with capitalism. But I can see now,
You see, I feel like capitalism is harsher, especially because people are not starting in the same plane.
That's the problem.
I think that's why I have a problem with it. If everyone is in the same playing field and all of us had the same opportunities, then it's fine.
That's
it's
true.
only unfair now because some people are already there and they just have to work a bit more just to maintain.
That's true.
Whereas
That's
you have to start
That's
building,
why I was saying. That's why I was saying it seems like a very sinister thing to do here in Africa because of the disproportionate way in which wealth is distributed. No?
Yeah.
Already somebody is at an advantage. So it's like I identify with it. I'm not going to force capitalism on SA. But I like the current model, though, where if somebody does not have money, the government has some way to help. But I feel like they're not giving nearly enough, though. Anyway.
I suppose, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So I don't know, man.
Yeah, but we digressed a lot. Like,
we digressed.
The closing remarks
okay.
on the topic, man. I see code switching being with us as long as we are human beings, because we are too diverse, and we'll always code switch to fit in different environment and different situations.
Yeah, that's
so if we were just one people, I don't think code switching would exist.
Yeah.
So in closing, code switching is the way to go, but it doesn't mean that you are fake or the moment you it tumbles upon your values and your principles, that's when it's wrong. Otherwise, code switching is a good way to go,
right? Yeah.
So that you can try to adapt to different environment and survive, man.
So are you saying Lil Pump is not code switching? Or this guy, the Gooba guy? Because I feel like in hip hop they are called fake, right? Because of that, they're simply just riding a wave. They're just adapting to that wave, and that's it. They're not bringing anything new.
But I mean, that's the way of the artist. It's like you're kind of reflecting the times. That's what you hear. You put your ears to the street, and that's what you hear, and then you reflect that sort of thing.
Right, but then you have other people who are on the left field now, like J-Bag Mafia, Death Grips.
Yeah, of course,
all these cats that are still getting their claim and still getting paid. Obviously, they are not as popular because they are not part of the popular wave.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, you always notice that the next wave comes from those people who are on the outskirts. They contribute more towards whatever craft they're doing than the people who just ride a wave. Because when the wave dies, your popularity also fades with it. Unless you can reinvent yourself or jump on the next wave again. That's why people call those people fake. Because you have nothing, you're not being yourself. You are being what is expected so that you can maintain this popularity that you obviously want. But you're not doing anything that seems like, okay, I can identify this cat to be his own person in this thing that he's doing.
Yeah.
But I guess then again, it's a personal kind of opinion in this case, man.
Yeah. So what are your closing remarks on this?
Hey, man, I feel like what works for you works for you. I don't fully feel like code switching is for everyone, but I do understand its place. And I feel for those people that it works for, who feel like they want to assimilate themselves very well, they should do that. But for those people who want to be eccentrics, for example, the hippies and whatever, they should do that. But obviously, I feel like you should always know the consequences of what you're doing. If you're going to be a hippie, isolation and being an outcast is part of.
But I feel like everyone could switch whether they will like it or not at some point.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's what I feel like. That's what I'm saying. To the extent, obviously, it's up to you. I think it all depends on who you want to be at the end of the day, man. And how much code switching you need to do. But at the end of the day, it's like what you said. You can't really run away.
Yeah.
The only way to fully run away from code switching is to be a hermit. Just live outside somewhere alone and have a farmhouse somewhere there.
Yeah, of course.
You do things and plant your own things there, then it's fine for you. But as part of a community,
then you must
somehow code switch, despite how much
you
want to be free. You'll always have to somehow.
So my nigga.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's a thing where when we are working on ourselves as people, obviously we try not to code switch. We should be trying not to code switch too much. But as we are working on ourselves and trying to be comfortable in our own skin and everything, we should also be changing our environments, because it's that environment that we constantly having to code switch to.
I agree with that.
So it's like in the workplace, if there are things that make people uncomfortable by being there, then we kind of have to constantly review mannerisms and professional behavior to suit people, and I think that's already happening, which is what do you call it? That hairstyle thing that you're talking about. I see a lot of Rasta people now in the workplace, and they seem comfortable. It's just that obviously now they don't bring the rags or like hippie clothing.
They still have to code switch somehow.
You know,
I'm not sure, man, if you can change the environment. Maybe you can, but then, like in my workplace, we wear this the mob caps thing. So if you're a Rasta now, if you're like at a J. Cole level or whoever has long hair, it's gonna be difficult to contain your hair because it must be contained.
True,
So in some situation, I don't think you can.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I mean, I guess see, now that's when you start thinking
yeah.
whether or not it benefits you to continue to have that hair now, because it's like I think it's almost like a hazard. Like maybe you're working with heavy machinery and then it gets stuck in there, and your head gets chewed up by the thing.
I think it's more of a case by case type of thing. That's why I feel like two things need to happen, man. There needs to be code switching because that's how everyone seems to work together and understand each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you also need the counterculture so that when these things are not happening, they keep them in check. It's
Yeah,
almost
of course,
like the EFF. The ANC is fine, it's doing, or the DA, they want to rule the nation.
Okay.
But you should also have these radicals there on the side.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Who are sort of like showing you now that, hey, you're going too far now with this constitution. You're losing yourselves there, just to keep you in check.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right, guys, I think we have come to an end of our topic. Please subscribe and ask your friend to subscribe as well. Please leave your comments below because we are not perfect and you might see it in the other way. So
we just want a pod, man. We just want a pod.
Sorry about digressing a lot. Just got carried away.
It was heated today, no? It was a heated one today.
Yeah, no, I think we kind of were like very strong on our
opinions.
Yeah, exactly. So
All
right, guys.
but see you next time.
all right, peace.